All
All right,
right.
welcome everyone who just joined us. We are here with Chris Matheny. He is going to talk about his career in firefighting, and he is a 2018 Westmont alumni. Is this correct? Did I get that year right?
That's right.
All right, so take it away.
All righty. So first I'll share my screen over here. All righty. So here is a presentation that I put together for anyone who's interested in pursuing a career in the fire service. So go ahead and unmute yourselves really quick for this next slide. But who here loves being an athlete in playing sports? You
Nobody.
got a lot of people? Anybody? Any
Nobody.
takers? All right. Well, being a firefighter, you get to be a lot of different things, right? So the first thing that comes to my mind is being a professional athlete, right? So the next thing, hold on. So the next thing is, as a firefighter, you work 10 days out of a month, which is 120 days out of the year. So depending on your agency, my agency, you work what's called an ABC shift, 24. It's a 48-96 schedule. So what that means is you work for 48 hours straight, and then you're off for 96. So you work for 2 days, and you're off for 4. So that equates to about 10 days out of the month, 10 to 11 days, which is only 120 days out of the year. So basically, you only work a third of the year. So that's amazing. That's an awesome schedule. So if this is the kind of stuff that interests you, and this is the kind of career that's going to be great for you. If you love traveling, you get as a position in the fire service, you travel all over the state and you get paid to do so. If you're bored, you can go and rappel down buildings and do all kinds of fun stuff like that as far as training goes. You get to break doors down and do it legally. And like I said, if you are interested in becoming a professional athlete, this is another avenue that you could go because firefighters have to be very fit and constantly be at a ready state. So here's just a bunch of other stuff that you get to do as a firefighter. If any of these topics here interest you, then a job in the fire service would be an amazing career for you. So before I begin, I'll just go a little bit about me. So once again, my name is Chris. I am a volunteer firefighter. I've been a volunteer with Santa Clara County right here. I've been a volunteer firefighter with Santa Clara County now for about a year. And I have been a fire academy instructor at South Bay Fire Academy for the past 2 years. And I've been an emergency medical technician with Royal Ambulance for the past 2.5 years. And then I've been a member of the San Jose Fire Explorer Post 888 for the past 3 years. And this last year, I am the chief of the post. So I run the post in conjunction with one of the San Jose firefighters. My past job before all of this, when I was going through high school, I was a personal trainer at the YMCA. And so for me, I am a Westmont graduate of class 2018. And I was inspired to go down this avenue in an eighth grade career day, similar to something like this here. So, but first, here's how I got here. It was a long route. So, like I said, I was inspired during an eighth grade career day. And then after that, when I really began my career, was my junior year. I took a course at Silicon Valley Career Technical Education called First Responder and Fire Science. So where the first semester was the first semester was all medical related and it was all learning how to become an EMT. And then the second semester was all fire skills. So we got to put on the turnouts. And for those of you that don't know what that is, that's the firefighter protective equipment that you go inside of burning buildings with. So we got to do all kinds of basic skills that entry-level firefighters do at this program. So it's a great way to learn that this is a right career for you or not. So I highly recommend that program, and it is available for Westmont students. If fire service isn't for you, there's other careers over there as well. They have law enforcement, they have digital design, cybersecurity, fashion designing, auto mechanics, auto body, all kinds of career options are available at SVCTE. So next thing is my senior year of high school. So I did what's called concurrent enrollment. So those of you, most of you have probably heard of middle college. Middle college is when you are completely enrolled at and only taking colleges, or you're only taking courses at your community college. However, concurrent enrollment is when you're doing up to 8 units at the community college and a full-time load at your high school. So how I did that is I got my 3rd period and my 6th period off from Westmont, and I did that by taking a 0 period. So every day I would leave the house I would go to school at Westmont, and then I was back home by about 12 or 1. And then I was hitting the books and studying for the test I'm having that night at EMT school. And I was leaving my house at about 4 p.m. every day. And then I'd get to mission, do my thing, and then I would come home. And by the time I was home, it's about 10 p.m. to midnight, and I'm doing my I'm doing my homework that's due the next morning at my high school. And that was my life for my senior year. So EMT was 1 semester. So my first semester, I was doing just a couple fire technology courses at Mission. My second semester, that's when I did EMT. So then upon successful completion, I actually got my national registry completed as an EMT. I got my state card completed. I got my ambulance driver's license, and I got my Santa Clara County EMT credentials in order to work in this county. I got all of that before even receiving my high school diploma. So by doing so, 13 days after I graduated from high school, I got hired on with my company at Royal Ambulance, and I've been there for 2.5 years now. So after working a bunch of hours during that first summer, I got into South Bay Fire Academy. And with that being said, that is a part-time academy, and we met from Friday night from 6 p.m. to 10, and then all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And that was a brutal academy because I would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday was my axe shining and boot maintenance day, and then it was all academy after that. So after I completed this academy, then I started my second year of college, which was I went to now I'm over at West Valley College. I am working towards my kinesiology associate's degree, and my life is basically school, work, gym, and repeat. And that's basically it. So right now I'm currently working full-time in between the 3 jobs as an academy instructor here at Santa Clara County Fire as a volunteer firefighter, and at Royal Ambulance as an EMT. Between all those jobs, I work about 40 hours a week. On top of that, I'm also working a full-time load at West Valley College. So that's the kind of sacrifices that we have to make in order to get what we're starving for. So what can you do now? For those of you who are my juniors here? Do I have any juniors in high school at Westmont right now?
I think there
Speak
were.
up. What was that? Any juniors? No? Okay, no worries.
Are you guys, why don't you put in the chat your grade levels?
Yeah, if I can just get everybody to put down their grade levels inside the chat.
Yeah, that would be nice. Oh, we have 10th graders. Ooh, okay. 10th graders could do it. So we have 2 10th graders and 2 seniors.
Awesome. That's awesome. Great. So for those of you that are sophomores now, you can get onto a very similar route that I was on. And that is your junior year, you can take the SVCTE course if this is what is interesting to you. So you can enroll over there at SVCTE. The course is called Fire Science and First Responder. And then for those of you, and then after that, your senior year, you can go and do concurrent enrollment. However, for EMT, you have to be 18 by the first day of class. So if you don't turn 18 by, I believe, the end of January, the beginning of February, somewhere around there, if you don't turn 18, then you cannot do concurrent enrollment. So If that's available for you, definitely take up that option if you can. It will put you light years ahead of everybody that's your age. The next thing is you can get into an Explorer post. So if you are interested in becoming a San Jose Fire Explorer, like I said, I'm the chief of the program and I sit on all the interviews that we have, and we do a recruiting phase every November. So if you are interested, I will drop my email at the end of this meeting, and anyone who's interested in joining as an Explorer, you can give me an email and we'll get you on the list, get all of your questions answered and all that. The next thing that you can do right now while you're in high school is ride-alongs. So in order to get to that point, you do have to be 18. Certain departments will make certain exceptions sometimes. Just depends on how well the captain trusts you or how well the crew trusts you. So in order to gain their trust, the way that you do that is through station visits. So you call a station ahead of time, and every station at every department, their phone number is always available on the department website. So if you don't know where that is, you look up the city. On the city's webpage, you go to the fire department, and then you go to their resources page, and it's right in there. And you should find every station's phone number. Give the station a call, explain to them who you are, and explain to them your goals, and say, hey, if it's possible, I would love to come in and have a station visit. And this is when you pick their brains and you ask any questions that you have whatsoever. And yeah, so, and you never know, the captain, the crew might decide, they might like you a bunch and they might invite you back to come and do a ride along. The next thing that you can all do right now is volunteer in your community. This becomes very important, especially on your interview, because when they ask you, why do you want to be a firefighter? And all you can say is, I want to help people, but you don't volunteer in your community, then you really don't want to help people. So that's a trap that a lot of people dig themselves into. But also, being a firefighter, it's all about selfless service and giving back to your community. And if that's what you want, then it starts now. Next thing is keep your record clean. If you get DUIs on your record, you will not be eligible. If you have any form of felonies on your record, you will not be eligible to become a firefighter. At least that's how it is over here in California. So that's all the things that you can do now. Let's see, going to the next page. So what's after high school? So that last page, those are all things that you can do right now while you're in high school in order to get a head start on networking yourself, getting yourself out there, and getting a jump start to your career. What you can do next after high school is, first of all, get that EMT. That is the first step. In order to apply for any fire department, the minimum qualifications is a high school diploma, the EMT, and a pulse. Basically, all you need is an EMT and a high school diploma, and you can apply for any fire department, unless it's a paramedic position. So get that EMT done as soon as you can. Then start testing, okay? So you can take tests online, or you can schedule yourself to take a test in person, but schedule online through these two agencies called FCTC and NTN. So FCTC stands for Fire Candidate Testing Center, and NTN stands for National Testing Network. And then the other thing that you can do is start working towards being able to pass your firefighter agility test. And these are all entry-level skills. These are all entry-level fitness abilities. It's just testing to see where your cardiovascular endurance is and how well you're doing and if you're ready for an academy. Next thing is get that Firefighter 1 done. Get into an academy. There's many academies out there. I went through South Bay. There's Monterey Peninsula County. There's San Mateo County. There's Chabot College Fire Academy. And now Mission just opened up their own fire academy. So after you get that Firefighter 1, you can choose to go and get your Fire Protection Associate's degree if you choose. Like I said, Mission offers a program as well as Chabot College. After you get that Firefighter 1, you can get into a volunteer fire department like Santa Clara County, if we're hiring at the time. Next step after that is either a bachelor's degree or a paramedic. Personally, I'm putting my bachelor's degree first, and then I'm going to go and get my paramedic. So after that, just the goal is always to get hired. But here's the thing. apply it all over the state. If you're eligible for a position, apply for it, because you never know. What's the worst that someone can tell you? No, right? At the end of the day, you get that oral board skills and you get to learn what the process is like, and there's nothing better than to apply. Cool. So that's how I did it, and that's how you can do it. So that's all that I have on the presentation, but do we have any questions? Don't be shy.
You can put it in the chat if you don't want to talk, or you can show yourself and we can see you. That'd be nice. I have a question. Did you not? I thought you went to Foothill for a little bit. Did you not do
So
Foothill?
I did not go to Foothill.
Oh,
So when
mission.
I am in the process of applying for paramedic school. And so with that being said, I am applying for Foothill.
So they have a paramedics thing at Foothill?
So Foothill offers a paramedic program, and they also offer an EMT program. EMT is about 1 semester, which is 16 weeks. And then the paramedic program is about 3 semesters.
Okay.
So that's about 3 semesters in length. And so with the quarter system, that's 3 quarters of didactic, which is classroom setting, and then that's 3 quarters of your clinicals. And so it's a long time, and it's about 25 units each quarter. It's a lot of work. Paramedic school is no joke. So
all right, we have some questions in the chat now.
All right, perfect. That's what I wanted. So yeah, so Mission offers the Firefighter 1, the Fire Protection Associate's degree, as well as EMT. Foothill what they provide is the paramedic program as well as an EMT program. However, Foothill has an interesting prerequisite to their EMT program. You need to get your EMR done. So that's an additional quarter. So EMT at Foothill is actually 3 quarters in length, whereas at Mission, it's 1 semester, 16 weeks. All right, question time. What is something you really love so far? Good question, Leo. One thing that I really love is the opportunities that come out of being a volunteer firefighter. So for example, a couple weeks ago, I was invited to administer vaccinations at the Santa Clara County Fairgrounds. So all day I was out giving vaccinations, and that kind of an option doesn't come very often, because as an EMT, that's not technically in my scope of practice to do. So because there's an extended scope of practice that was offered to me, you take that option, and that's the kind of stuff that we get to do. The other thing is I love doing ride-alongs, because when I ride along with County Fire, they staff their engines at three out staffing. What that means is there's an engineer, there's a captain, and there's 1 firefighter. However, their rigs are equipped to have 4 people on. So what that means is, as a ride-along, as a volunteer firefighter, I sit in that 4th seat, and I act and I do the same duties as a regular firefighter that's a career fire badge. So that's one thing that I absolutely love. So that's super fun. You get to learn all about the fire service culture, and what better way of learning if this job is good for you than by doing the job. So, all right. How do you become an EMT after high school? Good question. So in order to become an EMT, the steps are you have to go through EMT school. So EMT school has 3 separate courses that you have to take concurrently, and it's about 8 units. It's about 8 units total, okay? So what that means is you have a lab class, which is where you go over all the EMT skills. Then you have a lecture class, which is where you go to lectures. And then your other one is clinicals. And this is when they organize your ride-alongs. And when I went to EMT school, I learned more in my ride-alongs than I did in the lab class and than I did in the lecture class. That's where you learn, is in the field learning. So anywho, you have to pass EMT, you have to pass all 3 courses, and then you get what's called a course completion certificate. That does not mean you're an EMT yet. After that, you have to go and pass your national registry. So the national registry is basically a test that says that you understand the basic principles of being an EMT. It's a very difficult test to pass. I passed it on my first try, but for most people, it's very difficult to pass it, especially on their first try. Then after that, once you pass your national registry, that doesn't mean that you can operate in California. After you pass your national registry, you have to go and get your state card. Okay. And with that, there's a live scan, there's some background investigations, there's all kinds of stuff that you have to do, submit a new check, and then you get your state card. Now you can operate in California, but not all counties run that way. Some counties require that you get special credentials in order to work in that county, like passing a protocol test. Here in this county, you have to pass a protocol test, and as well as Contra Costa County, and there's a bunch of other counties that require a protocol test as well. So that's the steps to becoming an EMT. On top of that, you also have to get other certifications like continued education, your ambulance driver's license, and there's a couple of other things that you have to do. So does that answer that question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Perfect. So yeah, EMT is definitely the first thing that you want to do. What would you say is the most challenging? So the most challenging part is definitely, it really depends on you. For example, I excel in the fitness area, right? So the fire academy, while it was no joke, the fitness was very fun for me. And for other people, that's the hardest part. Some departments have an entry level requirement, such as you have to do 3 pull-ups, a certain amount of push-ups in a given amount of time to a metronome. You have to do 1.5 miles in, I think, 12 minutes or less. And there's other kinds of physical requirements that are involved in it. So for me, that's not really the challenge. For other people, that's a big challenge. Some people don't have the body strength to pull their own weight up. And if you have to do it 3 times, for some people, that's really difficult. Some people are, they're not exactly extroverted. And some people lack confidence. And so getting up in front of an oral board panel might be the hardest part for them. There's all kinds of differences, and it really just depends on who you are as a person. So for me, the hardest part would definitely be balancing everything, because I've been balancing, like I said, I've been working 40 hours a week in between 3 jobs. I've been going to school full time. And for me, that's the hardest part. Let's see. Are there any physical appearance requirements like certain hairstyles? Yes. So, for example, you have to keep your hair what's called high and tight. As a male, you have to keep your hair nice and tight, and it can't touch your ears. It really just depends on your department's protocol. When you go through the academy, certain academies allow mustaches, certain academies don't. Most fire agencies always allow a mustache, but there are certain requirements with it, like it can't extend past the corner of your mouth on both sides. It has to be neat and well kept. You have to keep your nails trimmed. Some departments do not allow tattoos. Some departments have policies that say you can have tattoos as long as it's not visible, and some say that you can't have tattoos at all. So be careful with that as well. And for women, it's different as well. Just keep in mind that the goal of it is to keep yourself safe and to it's to keep yourself safe and keep your patients safe as well. Mrs. Glass, do you have any questions as well?
Yeah, I was just thinking I had a question, and it left me, but it's going to come back. I can tell it's going to come back.
Ooh, what is the scariest part of the job?
That's a good question. Better than mine.
The scariest part of the job really just depends on who you are. So for me, I hate tight spaces. I really hate tight spaces. So there's a part inside of every fire academy where you have to do what's called firefighter survival. And that's where they intentionally try to trigger a fight or flight response by putting you in a tight corridor. Um, it's not really a maze because you're following a specific path, but there's certain areas where you have to squeeze your body through, and like you have your arms up and over your head, and all you can do is move your shoulders around, and that's how you wiggle through. You
Hmm.
can't even fit through with your air tank on your back, and you have to push that through and follow behind it. So for me, I hate tight spaces. That's the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
And that's the scariest part for me as well. I don't look forward to that. However, for other people, it's the fire itself, and personally, that's my favorite part.
Really?
Oh
Good.
yeah, it's very fun. It's very fun. I've done a couple live fire trainings, and it's very fun sitting inside of the burn box and watching how the fire goes up and over your head. It's hot, even with the turnouts on and the fireproof equipment. It gets hot in there.
Hmm.
So, um, and then for some people, it's traffic because I mean I was on a call last night with one of my jobs where I was we were coming back from a call, and all of a sudden we witnessed a 3 car pileup on 101, and it is dark outside. It's about 6, I think 5:30 or 6 a.m., and we have to go and block off the scene, and we're the only ones there, and we have to render care and keep ourselves safe. So with that being said, I was working on an ambulance. So it's not like I have a 100-foot fire truck blocking me from traffic. I have an ambulance. That's it.
Yeah.
So it really just, and with that being said, you got cars that are going past you at 80 miles an hour. So it really just depends on what you view as scary. So, and then for others, it's the nightmares that you experience. For example, it's the 2-year-old that's choking, it's the 2-year-old that's drowning. It's stuff like that that just it's mentally, how do you say it? It's psychologically a disaster for just about anybody. I don't care who you are, no one is too tough for that situation. Um, you see dismembered bodies, you see all kinds of stuff like that. You see people on their worst days, but at the same time, at the other end of the spectrum, that's you see more happy smiles than you do of that situation. You see more kids looking up to you and saying and waving at the fire engine. You see more people looking up and saying, "Oh my gosh, that's a hero." You see more people with I remember when I went on a ride along, and we were responding to a call, and this certain individual was it was for a fire that was outside, and his grill caught on fire, and he was very embarrassed. And rather than the crew that I was with, this is when I was very new, rather than the crew that I was with giving this guy a hard time, and making him feel bad and interrupting the dinner at the firehouse, they showed the guy compassion. They said, "Hey, look, you should move your grill over here so it's not right underneath your eaves over here. It's that way it's not right next to your structure, your house." And they treated it more as an educational opportunity. Meanwhile, the engineer was out in front distracting the kids, and he was putting on a little bit of a light show, treating it as a photo shoot opportunity. And I'll never forget the look on their face when I pulled out a sticker and I gave it to the kids. So, with that being said, um, I personally think that the good massively outweighs the bad. So,
Other questions?
all right. So, would you recommend going to community college and getting an EMT license rather than going to a 4-year college with a fire science degree? So, personally, it all depends on your personal preference on where you want to work. I grew up in this area. I was born and raised here. My parents moved into this house in 1997, and this is where I want to be a firefighter. this is where I want to live. This is where I want to grow up. This is where I want to raise my future kids. And so with that being said, I want to stay here. I want to go to college here, build my networking here. And it's gotten to the point where I recognize where I am in the county at all times. And those kinds of attributes help you in the end to become a better firefighter. And it helps you to network and get to know all the people from all the departments that are around you. Because a lot of times it's not about what you know, it's about who you know when getting into the department. So with that being said, if you go away and you go to college somewhere else, and then you come back in with your EMT and EMT experience and your degree, then and you try to apply out here, well, yes, you have the skills and now you can start from ground up. However, if you start out here and you start your networking here and you start working as an EMT and going to school here, then you have a huge leg up on the other person as far as networking goes. Because not only do you know everybody else knows you and how hard you are of a worker. So, and that's very important. So to me, I say go to school here, get that EMT first, start working while going to college. And if you can get that EMT during high school, get it done during high school. That way you don't have to take off any time that could be spent getting that degree. So, but getting a degree is very important as well. If you want to be moving up later on in your career from captain to battalion chief, many departments require that you have a bachelor's degree. It doesn't matter what your bachelor's degree is in. It can be underwater basket weaving. Mine is kinesiology. Everything has merit in the fire service. Everything can be relayed back and everything can help you through a situation. Because think about it this way, if we all have a degree in fire science, what are we really bringing to the table? For me, being a kinesiology major, I'm not a master, but I like to think that my strength is with body mechanics. And so that really comes into play when we're moving what's called a bariatric patient that's a little bit heavier. It comes into play when we're moving huge fire fire equipment like large hose lines. And it's not about brute strength. Sometimes it's more about how to get it from point A to point B more effectively and save your energy and save your back in the process. So sorry, long-winded answer, but at the end of the day, get that EMT, get that bachelor's degree, get that paramedic, however you decide to do it. If you want to go to another state, that's totally okay. But my biggest thing is I wanted to graduate and not have a huge debt. By working here and living with my parents, I saved up enough money to pay for my entire bachelor's degree out of pocket and not owe any dollars whatsoever. I will have no debt when I graduate from college. So that's if I go to San Jose State. So it all really depends on you and your goals. But
I would say if you're, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Hello?
Your turn, you can talk, I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said, Robert, that's a good question. So.
I was going to say that the 4-year thing, it depends on what, like, if you want to have that 4-year college experience, that's a different thing. So you kind of have to decide what your main goal is. Do you want to become an EMT firefighter as fast as possible? Or do you want to, because that does, like, you could go get that 4-year degree and that doesn't make you a firefighter, right? You still have to do all those tests and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And you probably still have to get experience and you probably have to get in with a fire department. And, there's a lot of steps after that.
Exactly. I mean, getting that EMT done, getting that EMT experience, moving up to 911 EMT, and then, because that's where the real experience is, and then eventually getting that paramedic. But here's the thing, and that is a lot of people look past getting their medic and think that they can get hired as an EMT. Well, that's true. A lot of people do get hired as an EMT. But think about it this way. If you're applying for a job, if you're applying for a firefighter EMT versus a firefighter medic, it only takes a semester to get your EMT. Paramedic is a huge commitment. And so with that being said, let's say there's 5,000 applicants for one job. All those people are EMTs. For a paramedic, you might only have 100 people applying for it. So if you're applying as a firefighter EMT, you better know your stuff. You have to be very competitive. If you are a firefighter, if you're applying for a firefighter paramedic position and you have that paramedic card, there's a lot more opportunities that are going to be available for you. So
Right. Did you work on any of the fires that we had early, like in the fall?
I personally did not. I was, we could have, but with the COVID outbreak, the volunteer agency had to be, we weren't disabled, but we were deactivated. So we are able to do certain events like helping out and giving vaccinations, but we are not able to go and right now we're all suspended from ride-alongs for the time being. I haven't done a ride-along since March because of it. We're not allowed to respond to calls. So as a volunteer, I can be sitting at home and doing homework, and then if there's a fire call anywhere inside of our jurisdiction, I can go drive my truck over to the scene, park what's called 2 alarms away, and then throw my gear on and report to the incident commander on scene. So with that being said, with this COVID outbreak, and we've been deactivated, so I can't do ride-alongs. We can't go and respond to calls. We can do certain events with approval, but it's kind of difficult. So
Right.
to answer your question, no, I was not on any of those fires this summer.
They looked scary to me.
That looks fun to me.
Okay. All right. If
That's
that's
all
what you like the
overtime.
best,
That's
right?
all experience. Those are stories for bedtime,
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
All right. So for those of you who are sticking around and who are interested in becoming a fire explorer, here is my email. And here's my phone number. Cool. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions whatsoever about the process of becoming a firefighter. And I'm happy to help anybody with career planning or helping them manage time effectively, because that's the biggest thing, especially when you're this young. So if you want it, hold on to that contact info and reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you out. If not, don't worry about it. So is anybody here still interested in a position in the fire service?
I never want. It sounds too scary for me. Yes.
All
Okay.
right.
Yes. Yes. There's 2 yeses. You didn't.
You won't break my heart. Don't worry.
I might
right.
be. I'm not sure. All right.
All right. No worries. It's not easy.
3 yeses.
It's not easy. It's it's definitely fun. It's definitely rewarding, but it's not for everyone. And in the fire service, everything is earned. So no one's going to hand it to you on a silver platter. You have to get out day in and day out and grind and earn it yourself. So it is really rewarding. And if it's something that you're interested, go for it. But at the end of the day, keep in mind, it is a blue collar job. It is work. It is hard work. You work on the holidays. You work on your daughter's 6th birthday. You don't get to see your baby's first steps sometimes. And you work on Christmas. You work on whatever holidays that you celebrate. But that's the nature of the beast. You get to, it's not you have to, it's the fact that you get to. You earn that position. No one gave it to you. You earned it. But nobody's forcing you to do it. So if you're in the fire service, you don't have to go scrub those toilets. You get to do that. So just keep that in mind. It is a blue collar job.
But you're a hero, right?
That's true.
You guys are the heroes.
So
I might be in. I'm not sure. Okay. And thanks. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. This was very interesting, I think. And it was good seeing you, Chris. It's been a
oh,
while.
thank you. It's great to see you too.